It's midday in the desert. Abraham is resting in the shelter of his tent. It's way too hot to be outside working. And he sees in the distance 3 travelers walking along the road. And he rushes out to greet them, invites them to sit in his shade, and he provides them with water to wash their feet and sets about preparing food and drink for them to eat. In so doing, Abraham follows the ancient law of the desert, still followed by the Bedouin people today, which requires that if someone shows up at the entrance to your tent, you share your water, food, and shelter with them. In a harsh, inhospitable climate, it's a matter of survival, but it is also an act of faith, an act of hospitality. And what happens when Abraham and Sarah welcome these strangers? Well, in this story, it turns out that they are messengers from God. The strangers tell Sarah and Abraham to expect a child, even in their old age. A suggestion which at first seems ludicrous. So Sarah laughs. I imagine it's the kind of laugh that comes from skepticism and disbelief. Hello, how could that be so? But as the story continues, they come to believe, and the messenger's assertion does come true. Within a year, Sarah is nursing a baby. And throughout the scriptures, from this passage at the beginning of Genesis on down, hospitality is constantly uplifted as a holy and sacred thing. When the laws of the people are set forth in Deuteronomy, it includes many times the instruction to love the stranger in your midst, because you too were once strangers in Egypt. And Jesus instructs his followers that whatever you do to the least of these, my brothers and sisters, whether that be sharing food or clothing or medicine or providing comfort and company, whatever you do to the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you do to God. And the book of Hebrews is probably actually intentionally bringing to mind this story we just heard of Abraham and Sarah, when it instructs the early Christian church, let love be genuine. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing that, some have entertained angels without knowing it. Hospitality is a holy thing, but it's also a hard thing. Because true hospitality goes deeper than just providing food and shelter. True hospitality requires us to open our hearts and minds to the stranger in our midst. It requires us to get beyond our natural discomfort with that which is unfamiliar, with people we don't know, with situations that feel slightly dangerous. And let's not deceive ourselves, we live in less dangerous times than Abraham and Sarah. Living in the desert thousands of years ago was much more dangerous than living in Portage-la-Prairie in 2018. But true hospitality requires us to get beyond that primal fear of difference that is woven into the fabric of humanity, and to engage, to truly interact with someone that we don't know yet. So I was delighted that our new Sunday school curriculum gives us this story to think about this week. Because hospitality is a very good thing for us to be remembering and thinking about as we prepare to welcome the new people that you are all busy inviting, right? To join us next week for Bring a Friend Sunday. So I'm going to be a bit more specific and directive today than I normally am, because we only get one chance to make a first impression, or to make a new impression with someone who's come back after a period of time. And how well that initial visit goes has a significant impact on how likely they are to ever come back. So let's make sure that our welcome is a truly hospitable one. So here are some requests from me about how to be genuinely open and welcoming next week and every week. First, make a point of speaking warmly to newcomers. Don't just talk to the people you already know. I understand it is really great to catch up with people, but make a point of connecting with the people you don't know. You don't have to mob them, but a genuine, "Hi, my name is, and I'm glad you are here," can go a long way to making someone who is in an unfamiliar situation feel comfortable and welcome. Think for a little bit about how you would like to be greeted if you were brand new here, and try to execute that. And if someone who used to come that you haven't seen in a long while comes, do not say, "Where have you been?" or anything else that might make them feel guilty about being here. But do tell them how happy you are to see them and how glad you are that they are here. Second, if someone looks confused or lost, help them. Our washrooms are absolutely terrible to find if you aren't familiar with this building. So if someone needs them and you are physically able, please escort them to the bathroom so that they can find their way without having to stress about, "Oh, you go down there and you turn this way and you turn that way." If they have kids, offer to help them to find the Sunday school. And make a point of inviting people to join us for lunch after worship and walk with them there, because also the auditorium is not the easiest space to find. This church has grown and changed so much over the years that the repurposing of spaces makes our routes not that intuitive until you know where you're going. So please, just make a point of, if somebody looks lost, help them find their way. And then when you get to the auditorium for lunch after worship next week, don't just sit with your friends and family and the people you already know. Make a point of sitting with someone new or someone you haven't seen for a long time. Third, you can see it on your screen, right? You know what I'm going to say. If someone is sitting in your pew, smile and sit elsewhere. This picture that's on your screens was posted in a clergy group I'm part of on Facebook, and the stories were absolutely appalling about how good church people, just in the habit of being comfortable where they are, scared off new people by telling them to go away. You may not think that's what you're saying when you say, "Sorry, you are in my pew, can you please move?" But that is what a nervous first-time visitor might well hear. One clergy spouse described how on the first Sunday in a new congregation, she was asked to move not once, not twice, but 3 times by people until she finally gave up and just left before worship. The only exception is the spots beside where there's a gap for wheelchairs. If someone arrives in a wheelchair, hopefully you will make that accommodation. But if under any other circumstances I hear that someone was told to get out of a pew, I am going to be annoyed. Fourth, we are a come-as-you-are church. And yes, the caretaker will not like it if somebody shows up with boots that are that muddy, but we'll cope. So that means people can wear anything they want. Their hair can be any color of the rainbow. They can have as many tattoos and piercings as they would like. They can present their gender identity in whatever way is most comfortable for them. They can hold hands with their same gender or opposite gender partner. And if you think, "Oh my, that's strange," remember Sarah and how she laughed at God's messengers. You can absolutely chuckle to yourself about the wonderful diversity of people God is sending into your life. But keep your heart open and see what you might discover. Fifth, if some of the people we are fortunate to welcome are millennials and they pull out their cell phones to take a picture or post something during worship, we have just won the lottery. This is an amazing, good thing. I know you might not react that way, but remember, this is an amazing, good thing. Because the absolute best way that we can expand our reach with younger people is by younger people talking about us online. And so if they say, "I'm at church and having a great time," that is publicity that none of the rest of us could generate. So I don't want to see anybody getting a dirty look because they have a cell phone with them. You absolutely do not have to pull out your phone during worship if that doesn't feel worshipful for you. But I can assure you that it is actually a sign of engagement, not disrespect in many cases. And it also goes back to that whole come as you are piece. Technology is very much a part of the lifestyle of younger adults. So asking them to not use their phone is like asking them to not be fully themselves. Just don't do it. Too often, churches say that they want to welcome everyone, but the way they act towards newcomers or towards people in various different generations accidentally conveys exactly the opposite message. So let's make sure people who do take the risk of giving church here a try experience the genuine hospitality that I know this community is capable of. Some of them will try us out and discover that we are not the right place for them. That's just fine. We cannot be all things to all people. But let's put our best foot forward next Sunday and every Sunday. And let's always remember that whether it's as a church community or in our own lives as well, hospitality is holy. When we truly open our hearts and minds to someone new, God might have some surprises in store for us. We might find ourselves learning and growing in ways that we never dreamt or imagined. We might discover that God's voice can be heard through unlikely people. We might even find that we are entertaining angels unaware. May God bless us with many such opportunities. Thanks be to God. Amen.